As is the case for most people, my career story begins when I was a little girl. I grew up in a very educated household. My father is a doctor and my mother teaches German and Latin. When I was little, my dad told me that I was going to be a doctor, just like him when I grew up. So I spent my childhood believing that that would be my job one day. But when I got to college, I realized that I wasn't very interested in the science and math classes that I was taking as a part of my pre-med major. So after my sophomore year, I decided to major in French instead because I was much more interested in my language, literature, and psychology classes. After graduating, I moved to France for a couple of years and taught English, and that's where I fell in love with the study of other languages and cultures. That's me as a baby with my father at his medical school graduation. Reading with my brothers, I'm about 5 years old. We were raised with a real love of books that stayed with us. When I moved back from France, I decided to follow in my mother's footsteps and become a French teacher. At first, I was really excited to share my passion for the French language and culture with young minds. But after a few years of teaching experience, I realized that I was actually much more interested in learning about the students and their interests and encouraging them to follow their own dreams. In addition, I realized many students were coming to class with issues that were far more serious than just learning French, and I was becoming frustrated by my inability to effectively address those things as the French teacher. This was a big part of what motivated me to go back to school to study counseling. My mom is a very good teacher. She's inspired a lot of her students to get their doctorate in either classics or Germanic studies. I taught at Hickson Middle School for about 4 years, and while I was there, I wanted to develop close relationships with my students and know them personally. Since beginning my counseling studies in 2015, I've volunteered at the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center and Alcoholics Anonymous Central Services. I've also completed a practicum at Preferred Family Healthcare and am currently completing my internship at Centerpoint Hospital. I'm specializing in the treatment of substance abuse and also mental health conditions, and I'm finding that I have a real affinity and talent for group process. Going forward, I would really like to have more experience with individual counseling, and that's where I would like to concentrate my efforts. A few years ago, I also started a blog about spirituality and the similarities between all the world's religions, and also exploring how spirituality can be a great resource for people seeking treatment from depression and anxiety. Throughout this journey of becoming a counselor, I've learned a lot about myself, and I would say my greatest asset is that I'm a real positive thinker. I've learned that I possess many skills, namely I'm a very effective communicator, and I am good at developing and planning. As a teacher, I developed curriculum and figured out the best way to present it clearly and concisely to large groups of people. Also, as a blogger, I learned to think visually, to conceptualize, to brainstorm, and also greatly honed my IT skills. I feel that I would be a great asset to any organization working as a counselor. I care a lot about other people. I'm very empathetic, and I want to make a difference. As a blogger, I learned to present complex topics very clearly. At Centerpoint, I'm really honing my skills in group process. At Preferred, I had the opportunity to do a lot of individual counseling, and I hope to teach my clients to look at things positively. That's what I do.